Hello, and welcome back for another episode of Craven Some Raven. And this episode, I'm going to be breaking down what we saw, what I saw, how I feel about this game that we had against the Bengals. They came to town, came into M&T Bank Stadium, thinking, oh, we'll get our first win of the season. Nah, not this game, not this time. The Ravens defeated the Bengals 23-17, but you already know that. I'm just going to give my thoughts on this game. I just rewatched the game, and I have a few notes that I wrote down, so I'm actually going to touch on those a little bit. I'll try to touch on them as I'm talking about it, so it seems organic. I don't want to just list them out and say this. But, some things that I thought were interesting, and I thought, were noteworthy, right? Isn't that why that's a phrase? It was noteworthy because I put it in my notes. But I don't need to break down that sort of phrase. That's not why you're here, even though this is a podcast about the Ravens and I always go off the rails. So I'm going to try to stick to my list, but I'm sure if you've listened to this before, it'll be all over the place. But I want to break down this game, kind of starting with the offense and some things that I saw. And first off, it was very strange, this game, for myself, because if you listen to the last episode where I was talking about the upcoming game of the Bengals versus the Ravens, I was nervous, I was scared, I was a little bit puckering, and it was strange because when the game started, that feeling wasn't there. Maybe it's just the mood you're in, maybe it's just where I was at in my own head. I was just sitting on the couch watching the game, but for whatever reason, I didn't feel nervous at any point during that game. Even they get the ball and they take it to the house on the first play. I still wasn't nervous without even seeing any of the different teams, on offense or on defense playing against each other. Even after that crazy run back, even though it wasn't that crazy, I still wasn't nervous. So I found that kind of weird. The feeling, it was the right feeling, I guess, because we won the game and we only won by 6, but it felt like a domination type win. It feels like it was never out of our hands. I think the Bengals had more points than they should. I think the Ravens had less points than they should have. But it felt like a Ravens dominated this game, and they should, because the Bengals hadn't up to that point won a game, so we really should. If you want to see yourself as a good team, you need to be able to do this to teams that aren't so good. And like I said, the Bengals, they've been in every kind of game that they've played, besides I want to say one other game. So you need to take care of business, and that's kind of why I was nervous, because this was a trap game. But we saw the trap coming. We didn't succumb to it. So let me get to some things that I saw on the offense. And I think Greg Roman listened to the podcast because I was saying we need to, be a little bit more exotic, do a little bit better job of moving the pocket for Lamar Jackson. Get him outside. Don't just keep the pocket on the inside, because there were quite a few times where I saw Lamar Jackson rolling out, moving the pocket, and it seemed like it was designed, right? It wasn't just him trying to escape pressure, which some of the times it was for sure. But I saw him, it seemed like it was a designed rollout to get a pass. Hold on one sec, gotta pause this. And I'm back, sorry. Had to text my mom back. We're going out to dinner. Birthday's coming up, so she wanted to take me out to dinner. It's crazy. Birthday's coming up, I guess, on October 23rd, but she's in town right now, so turning the big old 25. To some of you, that may not be old, but to me, that feels very old. It's quarter life, right? If all goes well, if you get to 100, this is a quarter of my life. It's crazy. It's quarter life crisis. Is that a thing? Man, it's almost like football, right? The first quarter. Me personally, I don't think I put enough points up. I'm going to have a strong second quarter, third quarter, so that I can enjoy myself and relax in the fourth quarter. I don't think I've put up enough points. And it's all on me, right? I feel like it was mostly coaching decisions that caused me not to get enough points, right? or player execution. I don't know. Either way, I feel, does that make sense? Some people, they do things really well. They execute very well. They have a great game plan. They put up a ton of points in the first quarter. So many points that they can kind of cruise through the rest of the game, through the rest of their life. Now, it's all on me, right? I personally don't feel like I put up enough points. That's on me. Maybe I feel like my offense can score more, and we just haven't been able to do that. But enough of this existential quarter-life crisis bullshit. That was weird. Let me get back to the offense. So they, as I was saying before I paused it, it looks like they had designed QB rollout type things. That was awesome. Love to see it. And obviously, it was a great day on offense because Lamar Jackson was the first player in NFL history, I guess in the regular season, Kaepernick did it, to put up over 200 yards passing and 150 yards rushing. The dude is creating stat lines, and we haven't seen his full potential. And I know this podcast should basically be named the Lamar Hype Train Podcast because damn near every episode I'm hyping up Lamar. But I think it's well-deserved, and I'm going to keep talking about it as long as I continue to feel this way. I predicted tons of stuff about him, and you can go back and listen. I've predicted all sorts of crazy, lofty goals that I genuinely think he can reach, even still do. But this Ravens team, and I talked about this before the season started, and I thought it was a little bit crazy then, but now they're proving me right. This run game, before the season started, I predicted that they will break the single-season rushing record set back in 1978 at like 3,172 yards, 70-something yards. It was 3,170-something yards, either 76, 78, 72. It was one of those, set by New England in like the 70s. I want to say 78. And as of right now, they are on pace to beat that. They are on pace to get like 3,200 yards rushing. Which, if I'm being honest, they're in the future, in the next couple weeks, basically the second half of the season, they're playing a lot better defenses. So let's see if they can still continue to run the ball down the throats. But I think they can. I still think we are just a very efficient running team. Now, we get a lot of volume, but I think we're also very efficient because in this game, we were fairly balanced at one point. I think by the end of it, it was damn near 50-50 run and pass. And that's the beauty of Lamar Jackson. You get him going on the outside. What was it? The second play that the Ravens had from scrimmage, Lamar runs it like 40 yards, 30 yards, something crazy. And then a couple plays later, maybe like 2 or 3 plays later, he goes and runs it into the end zone. He is just so electric and so amazing with the ball in his hands that we need to continue to feed him. And I say this all the time. I say run him more, damn it. Because I love the way it is. And I was talking with Coach Evans. I'm probably going to reference this because I feel like after every single game, Coach Evans, shout out to him. Go watch his channel. Good stuff. I always go in there and talk to him, kind of like a co-hosting situation. We talk football, and he brings up a lot of good points, and some of them I kind of want to bring up again. And I was saying, I think we need to run Lamar Jackson more, and I was talking about a lot of times with an offense, one of the common things people say is you got to get the quarterback going, right? Give them a few easy completions, little short outs, get them up to the game speed, get them into it, get them ready, get them confident so that you can go down and do the things you want to do. You want to call a long pass. He knows that his ball is good. After those first few completions, like, all right, I got this. My arm is warmed up. We're good. That in-game warm-up type thing. And I think with Lamar Jackson, it's a run him early, man. I think he has to run the ball early because it opens up everything for the offense. And I feel like Lamar Jackson is one of these players that is, he feels the game. And that's why he's so good at running, why he's so good at not taking huge hits. It's because he can feel the field. which sounds like a trippy thing. I feel the field, man. I can feel your energy. But Lamar Jackson, it seems like he has that ability. And so to get him going, he has to, I say at the start, make him feel the game. Make him feel the field. It sounds so dumb the more I say it, but get him running early so he can feel the speed of the defense. So that way, later on in the game, he knows exactly when to run it, when to pull it, when to throw it, when to pass it off, so he can just get it going, get in a rhythm. And because when he's in the rhythm, man, this offense is damn near unstoppable. You saw it in Louisville. Like, there's a couple games where he just took over. There's a game where he threw like 8 touchdowns in the first half, and there's another one he threw like 5 in the first half, and it's because he's feels like like a flow state when you're talking, or just that flow state kind of thing. We've all kind of been in that where we're like, man, everything is just clicking on all cylinders. And when Lamar is clicking on all cylinders, this offense is impossible to stop. And I actually saw a stat that they brought up that Lamar Jackson, in every single game besides that playoff game, Lamar Jackson led offense with the Ravens, has put up at least 20 points in every single game. I think it's something like 13 in a row, regular season. Obviously, they're not accounting that playoff, which is I hate when they do that. It's like not including the playoffs. It's like, well, they played in that game. Why doesn't it count? But you know what? For these purposes, I'm glad they didn't, because in every single regular season game, he's put up at least 20 points. So that's his floor, right? That is where this offensive floor is getting 20 points a game. So anytime he goes over that, that's just some extracurriculars right there. That's some, hey, I was feeling good on this play, boom, got it done. And something else that I saw from Lamar, it was just like a small thing, but he was even willing to block. There was a play where Justice Hill, it was a run to the right, he was going right, everything was blocked up, and he bounced it back and started going to the left, and Lamar's standing over there, and he's like, oh shit, I got you, bro, and he blocked the dickens out of this guy. It was a great block. Justice Hill, he didn't think that he was going to be able to get that block, so he took it a little bit wider than he probably should have. Probably would have been able to pick up some extra yards if he kept it inside, but it wouldn't have mattered because, of course, there is a penalty on Bradley Bozeman, which brings me to my next point. Even though I still want to talk about Lamar Jackson, but I'm sure I'll bring him up again. But Bradley Bozeman, a lot of penalties this game. Every single offensive penalty that we got, I think besides 1 or 2 of them, was on Bradley Bozeman for either a false start or a holding. He did not have his best game. Now, I didn't break down how he actually performed, but if you have 4 penalties just on yourself and you have 5 on the offense in total, there's an obvious weak link there, right? And that's not good. That's no bueno. Now, I don't know if the answer is to put someone else in there, like a Ben Powers. And I like Ben Powers. I'm interested to see what he can do there. I think he has the skills, got the necessary skills to get it done. And I love his attitude, man. The way he attacks game. I remember during the preseason, Ben Powers, I talked about it on the podcast, but while I was watching one of the games and I was like rewatching it, I was noticing like who is yelling on the field? Well, why is someone just like yelling like this primal scream? And every single time it was because Ben Powers got a pancake block. I love that. I love that about him. So I'm tempted to say put him in, man. I know we've got injuries kind of all over the field, so we're just putting in backups left and right, and we'll get to that later when I talk about the defense, but on offense, I want to see Ben Powers get it, man. I want to see him get this job. Maybe they're saving him for when Marshall Yanda eventually retires, which could be after this year. I don't really know. There was that one pregame speech where he kind of says, I don't know how long I'll be playing. So it's like, ooh, buddy, don't say that, man. You're getting us nervous. I want to see you keep playing. I don't know how much longer he's under contract, but I know we signed him this year, or extended him this year. But is someone else the answer? Is Bradley Bozeman that much better? Have they seen more stuff in practice about him? And I just don't like the penalties, man. I just do not like the penalties. Back to what I was kind of saying earlier, talking with the offense, how because last episode I was talking, they need to do some more of these like trickery kind of looking plays. Get cute with it. And I know that's easy to say. I want you to be more cute, and then they end up doing that, and it doesn't work. And they're like, "Oh, you're being too cute. Just run the damn ball straight up." So you can't win with it really. But I wanted to see some more of that trickery kind of stuff going on. You got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, you should use that trickery. And I saw more of it this game, right? I saw a double screen where it was Lamar Jackson, he fakes it, pumps it right, and then throws the screen back to the left, and ends up getting us a first down. I think it was like an 11-yard run with Mark Ingram. And I want to see us. I'm not the first person to say we need to utilize the screen more, right? I think we should. And I think, honestly, we should be like one of the best screen game teams, if you think about it, because the screen kind of play, if you break it down, it's the offensive line kind of letting the defense run through, right? And then the quarterback retreats a little bit, buys enough time to where the linemen get ahead of the running back, and then you dump it off to the running back, and then he's got a wall of offensive linemen. And I think with Lamar Jackson's ability to evade a pass rush, we should be one of the best screen teams. We could let everyone rush through the line and have Lamar shake and bake his way into a screen. We should probably be able to run a screen every goddamn play. I mean, all of our offensive line should be able to just, hey, run on through. You won't be able to catch Lamar Jackson. Have him run back, boom, dump it off, 15 yards. There we go. And I just think we would be really good at it. And something else that we're really good at, and that game we were especially good at, is third and short. We were successful 100% of the time on 3rd and 3 or less. I don't think we had a couple of like 3rd and 9s. I don't think we were successful on those as much as we were. We weren't perfect in those situations, but in 3rd and short, we were perfect. You can't ask for much more. Actually, there was one where we got stopped down at the goal line, but that was I just wanted to see them run the ball again, but they decided not to do that, and they got the field goal. But yeah, man, we were excellent in short yardage situation. That's kind of a symptom of how good our running game is, right? Our running game, like I was saying before, on pace to break the record. That's how good they are, right? And we got games coming up. The next game is up against Seattle, and I'll break that down a little bit more. I'll do an episode breaking down that game and what I think the Ravens should do. Try and get that win, maybe some other stuff, but we got to be able to break down the screen. We got to continue to run the ball, right? I was going to say something, but I just forgot what I was saying. God damn it. I'm already 25. I'm getting old. Put a quarter down, penny for your thoughts, or quarter for your thoughts. Yeah, man. Fuck. I don't even know what I was. I honestly lost track of what I was saying. Yeah. So I got some notes here. This is why you write down notes, and I normally don't. So hey, I'm learning here. This podcast is getting better. Am I right? I don't know. But one thing I want to talk about that I saw from Lamar that I probably should have talked about before when I was talking about him. It's another improvement to his game that I haven't really seen too much before, but this game, I thought he utilized it very well, which is taking the loss and just throwing the ball away. I saw him throw the ball away maybe 3 or 4 times this game. I want to say 3 times, but I'll leave a little room in there in case I'm wrong. Don't come at me if I'm wrong on that, which would be weird if you did. Calm down, people. Calm down. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, he's actually throwing the ball away. He gets some time in the pocket. He's rolling, not seeing anything open, not seeing anything that he feels is worth the risk of throwing, which is a whole different thing. Is would it be worth it, let your guys go up and get it? But that's how he got those interceptions before, like in last week versus the Steelers. But he's throwing the ball away, and that's something, just take the loss, take the loss of downs. Don't be a hero. And it's these little improvements that he continues to make, week after week, doing something a little bit better this week. And obviously, when it comes to throwing the ball, he's a little bit uneven with that. This game, he was pretty good. I only saw one pass that he didn't quite make, and it was the pass to Willie Snead going up the seam, and he just overthrew him, threw it a little bit wide. It was just not a good ball. He was under a little bit of pressure too, so he wasn't able to get his base down. But still, that's nothing out of the ordinary for any quarterback. Even Tom Brady throws bad balls. Tom Brady probably throws more bad balls than Lamar does. That's a crazy statement, but check the tape, right? Check the tape. I wanted to make a shirt with that phrase on it, a check the tape shirt, because it means so much. I love football, and it's like hey, check the evidence first before you say something. It's almost like a way of life. You got to check the tape. Is this person an asshole? I don't know. Check the tape. Maybe it's just they were coming from somewhere. They just had maybe someone in their family just died. It's a way of life. You got to check the tape. Don't just go out screaming and yelling and thinking you know everything. Just go ahead and check the tape on the situation. Right? If that makes any sense? It's a way of life, just like this podcast. Craven some Raven. It's not a podcast. It's a way of life. I still got some more notes on the offense. Talked about the 3rd and short. There was that Lamar run at the end of the first half. So close. We were moving the ball, man. And it was like the final seconds of the second half. We needed to get some yardage to get into field goal range, and Lamar goes back for the pass, drops back for the pass, and he didn't see anything open. He's getting tons of pressure, and he runs up the middle. Gets like 25 yards, and it's like, oh no, this shot clock is 2, 1. You're like, no, get out, go out. And it was, seeing him run and watching the clock at the same time, I was like, he ain't going to get out in time. He had a chance if he, right when he was out in the open field, then cut straight for the sideline. But he was trying to get too many yards and trying to work his way towards the sideline instead of just beaming towards the sideline. That comes with time and experience, and I'm not going to get mad at him for that. Anytime you get a 25-yard gain, I'm not going to get mad at that. But it almost seemed like, instead of doing that, why don't you just try and take it to the end zone? It seemed like he had a bunch of open field. He would have had to make 1 or 2 people miss. But if anybody can do it, if I'm going to put my money on anybody to break 2 tackles on this team, frankly, any team, except for maybe Alvin Kamara. He's got the sauce too. I would put my money on Lamar Jackson. The dude knows how to make people miss. So in that situation, obviously, would have rather have seen him go out early or just try to take it to the end zone. I tried to do 2 things at once by getting extra yards and going out. But you can't have it both ways, Lamar. Come on, man. So, that's that. You can't get mad at the guy. The guy produced all over the field, like I said, creating new stat lines with his legs. And there's something else I wanted to say on that about them moving the ball. Yeah, so the Ravens, I don't know if this is like a stat that people put out there, but I want to see a stat line and where the Ravens kind of rank amongst other teams when it comes to yards per possession, right? Not yards per play, even though I think that might be just as similar. But I feel like this would kind of narrow it down, like how good is your offense? How successful is your offense? And obviously, touchdowns, that's the ultimate metric. How many times you put it in the end zone. Everything else can kind of go away. Touchdowns undercut every stat. But when it comes to moving the ball, I feel like the Ravens are one of the best in the entire league, and I've talked about this past couple weeks. And speaking on that, the Ravens, they stop themselves. They move the ball. Like they had bad field position all day. They would start. I don't even think they started past the 20-yard line once, but they consistently were passing the 50-yard line. And so I wonder where we rank amongst other NFL teams when it comes to yards per possession. because it feels like we're getting 50, 60 plus a possession. There haven't been many 3-and-outs. I mean, there have been some, but not very many. So I wonder kind of where we rank amongst that, because we move the ball, man. We move the ball. So that being said, I kind of want to move over to the defense a little bit. Not a little bit. I just want to talk about the defense more so now. And the defense played fairly well. They had the one scoring drive, or the one touchdown drive, which was saved by Pernell McPhee roughing the passer, which he's technically roughing the passer, but come on, man. But I'm not going to blame the refs for anything. We were kind of getting some hometown calls, not going to lie. But our defense, we are just now super injured. And from now on, if we have something looking good, I'm just not even going to mention it, because all talk off season was how deep and how good and elite our secondary is. And what goes and happens, everyone is getting injured. We're down Tavon Young. We are down Jimmy Smith. We are down fucking TJ. Tony Jefferson. Jesus. We are now down Deshaun Elliott, who's coming in to fill that spot. We were down Anthony Averett. That is 5, at different points this season, starters. 5 starters in just one secondary. Now, I know we have depth, and off the heels of this latest injury with Deshaun Elliott, we are now bringing in Bennett Jackson. But it's, everyone's singing the praises. Oh, this Ravens secondary. Oh, this Ravens secondary. Damn it, too many people were talking about it. And now, that's why everyone's getting injured. It has nothing to do with the play on the field. It has everything to do with people saying how deep this secondary is. And the football gods are like, oh, you think it's deep? We want to go ahead and find out? Yeah? You want to test that theory, buddy? Yes, football gods. We will pray to you and hope you don't injure our team. Damn, and we've been good. We've been healthy these past couple of years, and I talked on the podcast, crediting that towards Steve Saunders and not getting those ticky-tack, soft tissue injuries. But these have been like devastating type injuries. Tavon Young, neck injury. Tony Jefferson, all his CLs are gone. Jimmy Smith, that was a ACL injury, right? It's just like a strain or something. And then Deshaun Elliott, I don't even know what happened to Deshaun Elliott. But he comes in his first game like, oh, here we go. And now the second year in a row where he goes down. I don't think we can say injury prone yet. It's only second year, but 2 years up, 2 years down. That's what's happened so far. And in his first game action, he's been in games for sure. Like, he's been in the lineup. But in his first time, like, all right, you're going to have a huge role this game with Tony Jefferson now out. And he goes and gets injured. And he caused that one pass breakup where there was, like, the one pass that Tyler Boyd got on Marlon Humphrey, which Marlon was still in good coverage, but Deshaun Elliott came over and knocked the ball out. And, he's playing well. And I feel like I'm not the only one, but a lot of Ravens fans, they feel like Deshaun Elliott was maybe better than Tony Jefferson, or at least showed a lot of promise. We loved his game in college. I mean, I know me personally, I loved his game in college, and I couldn't wait to see him out there. He kills it every single offseason. He's like a media darling in the offseason, but for whatever reason this season, they didn't really play him much. And then he goes in, and then he gets injured. So, God damn it, come on, catch a break, damn it. These Ravens can't catch a break. But our defense in general, I thought, was playing pretty well. There was that Auden Tate versus Maurice Kennedy matchup that we saw all game. And they were targeting Kennedy. And I feel like Auden Tate got the better of him. But they were targeting Kennedy, but I feel like Kennedy, he was in tight coverage most of the game. A lot of those catches to Auden Tate were acrobatic, crazy-looking catches that I feel like that was number 18. Like, it wasn't Auden Tate. It was AJ Breen. It was his cousin. You know, he went out there, put on a fake mustache, and was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not AJ Green. I'm a Beyblade Spleen. You know, I'm I'm someone else. I'm his cousin, like fucking Uncle Rico. Goddamn. Yeah. So he was looking straight up like AJ Green, and it seemed like there was nothing we could do to stop him from catching the ball, because he was making some acrobatic catches, and Kennedy was in tight coverage, man. And I think this is the second week in a row where Kennedy leads the team in tackles, and that's just an effect of people targeting him, people thinking he's the weak link in the secondary, and he's coming up strong. He has played excellent. I don't think he's returned to that like 2016 form, but he's still looking good, man. He is looking pretty decent. And you know, talking like about the injuries a little bit more and how it affects us, you know, the inside linebacker position, we got LJ Fort and Josh Bynes playing a ton, and they're playing excellent. Bynes, he got that tip that caused the Marlon Humphrey interception. LJ Fort blocked a screen pass, and I think he had another pass breakup on a pass to a tight end. Got a couple good tackles in the backfield. Same with Bynes. It's like, wow, these guys signed off the street, right? Bynes was straight up working in Target. I don't know if that's what he was doing. He was checking price tags. He was pumping up tires in the bike section. I don't know what he was doing, but he wasn't even in any off-season programs, and he came in and is producing. LJ Fort, I believe he was with the team, but now he is producing. And once again, I was talking with Coach Evans and what this actually means, you know, deeper than these guys are playing better. Are these guys better than we thought, or are our guys not that good? You know, Kenny Young, I can't remember, Peanut. Yeah, Jesus, the planter man. The planters. Are they just not that good? You know, what actually is the reason for these guys coming in and having success? Is it our defensive scheme is, you know, catered towards inside linebackers looking good, you know? I feel like that's part of it. But at the same time, it's like, why aren't our guys, the guys we draft, the guys we bring in, not outperforming these dudes, right? Even Chris Board, he wasn't even playing that much. It's these guys that we signed off the street. Now, what's the issue? I don't have an answer. I feel like I'm leading you guys to give you an answer, but no, I straight up don't know the answer. I think it's a little bit of our guys not being that good and these guys being better than we think. And it makes you rethink, like, what is the purpose? You know, what is not the purpose? Like, what is the point? I don't know. All I'm trying to say is we should rethink the way to build our defense. I'm not really sure. I haven't really fully formed this yet. You can tell I'm coming up with this on the spot. But it's not working out. When you have guys coming in that are outplaying the people that made your team, right? That's a problem. It's no bueno. I'm happy for these guys, Fort and Bynes, but where does that leave us, you know, conceptually or general manager-wise? Where does that leave Eric DeCosta? What does he think of this? You know, do we want to re-sign Peanut now? You know, was Kenny Young actually a bust? What's the deal, bro? What's the deal? So yeah, it has me nervous. It has me thinking, like, what the hell's going on, guys? Why can't you outproduce these street rats? Who invited these guys? Fucking showing up to the party late, thinking they're the shit. But hey, man, they're making the party. They're making it good. They're making this defensive party look good, right? You know, they brought the guac. Guac ain't cheap. Brought the chips. Now we got chips and guac. Thanks, guys. But you're showing up to the party late, drinking all our booze, stealing all these other guys' thunder. But, yeah, you know, I just don't like seeing it. I don't know. Maybe you guys do. I don't like seeing these guys that we bring in, these quote unquote scrubs, even though they're playing better than our guys. So maybe our guys are the scrubs. I just don't like seeing that because it makes me feel like we're not doing the best we can in the front office. And I'm a firm believer in Eric DeCosta, EDC. Right player, right DeCosta. So it has me worried, but something I like to see, on kind of like a different note, separate note, something that I felt was noteworthy, right? There it is again. Oh, he said it. There was a play where it was a long pass, and Zach Seiler ends up making the tackle 20 yards downfield. Now, you don't want to see your defensive tackle making those tackles, but you like to see it. Like, if you're going to get a long-ass pass, you want to see your guys on defense hustle. The man's is hustling. Like, if there was, I think it was a pass to one of their tight ends, and he's running down the field, and he gets caught from behind by a defensive lineman. You know, Zach Seiler, he came up from the practice squad. And it's super weird because it's like our defense is all practice squad and scrubs. That's what it seems like. A lot of these guys, it's where were you before? And it's like the Ravens were scrambling and struggling for so long on defense. Now they're just like, fuck it, throw them in. Let's see what happens. Throw them in, bro. And Zach Seiler, he looked good. And I love seeing that effort. Love seeing him chase down that person with the ball. You know, you never want to see that happen in general because you don't want to see long plays. But I'll say it again. Hustle, baby. Hustle. Hustle. Hustle hard. Whatever that fucking song is. It's probably called Hustle. Hustling, hustling, hustle, hustling, hustle. You don't want to hear my white ass singing that. Another guy I want to highlight on the defensive line specifically. Number 53, the new guy, up-and-comer, another scrub off the street, L.J. Fort. And I thought he played really well. I thought he got excellent pressure on the quarterback. And, you know, seeing his stat line, you would kind of expect that. You know, he hasn't played a lot due to injury and different things. But when he's in the game, it seems like he has the ability to produce. And I saw him get into the backfield, cause pressure on the quarterback multiple times. He was in on one of those sacks that Matt Judon was also in on, and so was Jalen Ferguson. So I love seeing all these different guys getting involved. You know, that one drive where we were just getting after it. You know, they're definitely throwing. Let's cover well in the backfield, give our defensive linemen some extra time, have Andy Dalton hold the ball, and we can get to him. And they did. That drive, they had, I think, like 2 sacks in that one drive. But yeah, man, I thought number 53, L.J. Fort, coming in looking good. But it's like, how is he outproducing our guys? The hell is going on? So it's just, it has me worried, but I love to see it. And, you know, I saw the pictures of him. He's bigger than a lot of people. He is tall and long. Right? So that's very good to see. So a lot of encouragement. Obviously, we got the win, right? That's all that matters. It was closer than I thought, but it's a AFC North divisional rival game. You can't expect anything less, but I felt like this was just a dominant performance. Coached well, other than there was like one challenge where the guy caught the ball and Anthony Levine made the tackle. And it appeared it was like right on the line, you know, pretty close, but they marked him on the first down. And Anthony Levine's like, what the hell? That ain't no first down. And then Harbaugh listens to his players like an idiot and challenges the play. I mean, even if he won that, it would have been 4th and inches on our side of the field. They probably would have gone for it, right? You'd think they would. A good coach would. And we wouldn't have gotten the stop. You know, I feel like they could have gotten those inches. You know, you never know. You never know how things can pan out, I should say. I think it solved this whole Pam Pan situation. Step Brothers, shout out. What a great movie. Boats and Hoes. But yeah, man, all around, this was a good game, right? And like I said, I never felt like this was out of their hands, which was very strange because before that game, breaking it down beforehand, I was all nervous. I was all scared. You should have said, "Have no fear, Craven. Some Raven is here." Anyways, it was very strange that my feelings just switched in a matter of like 2 days, because I think I recorded that like just a couple days before the game. I think I recorded it on Friday, and then by the time of the game, I felt completely fine. And one thing, maybe some special teams. We tried that one thing again, that kickoff to the one and let our coverage unit go ahead and get it. I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of done with that, right? Because the first play of the game, they try that, and it's a run back. Second time they kick it off, they don't do that. They just kick it out of the end zone. And then the rest of the game, they tried to do that, right? Maybe a mistake, and I'm sure I'm wrong on this, maybe the order of which they did things, but a lot of the time they kept kicking it to the 5 to 1 yard line and letting our coverage unit get it. And they kept getting good enough returns, right? They kept getting far enough where if they took the fair catch, touchback, was it touchback or fair catch? Either way, if they would have taken the touchback, they would have been in the same spot because they kept bringing it out past the 20. And I don't think it's because Cincy's coverage unit is better, or return unit is better than the Steelers. I honestly think it's an issue with all of these injuries on defense and all of them kind of being in the secondary. Because, your second, third string guys in the secondary are the guys who are in your coverage unit or your backup wide receivers. And we're having a lot of injuries in the back of our secondary. So a lot of these guys who are on the coverage unit are also having to be on the field on defense. So we have, like, not just Pat Ricard, I guess, a lot of people on our team, especially on the defense, are now, it seems like, two-way players where they got to run down the field and cover a kick, which is kind of crazy because then they got to go back out there and try to produce. It's like you just sprinted 100 yards down the field, and they should be conditioned, but it still affects you, and that's one of the the uncommon things people talk about when it comes to injuries on a team. Where else does that affect you? Where does it trickle? The butterfly effect. That means now this guy is going to have to play on special teams, and this guy is going to have to move here on defense, and all these little things that can affect your game. I think special teams, there's a huge effect that no one's talking about. No one's talking about it, man. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. But, we got some good games coming up, some tough games. We got one more game before the bye, and we go and face Seattle Seahawks. I'll break down that game some more. And once again, I was talking about this with Coach Evans just because I consistently talk with him. I talk Ravens on here, and I go on the Ravens YouTube all the time. But I get to communicate a lot with another Ravens fan, with Coach Evans when he does his post-game kind of review, his state of the franchise. I forget what the name he calls it. But, because I'm over here in Albuquerque, there's no one I can physically talk to. Every once in a while I get to talk to Sonny on his channel when he does his call-ins. But at the same time, I can only be on for 15 minutes or so. But with Coach Evans, I get to talk as much as I want, really. Just try not to interrupt him. I have trouble with that because I just want to get my points across. But, on his show, right, you got to kind of respect it. But I was talking to him and I was saying, talking about these upcoming games, because our next two games are prime time. This game, it's more of a 4 o'clock game, but afternoon games, and then against Patriots, it is a night game, Sunday night game. So we're going to get a lot of exposure, across the nation. We're going to get a lot of eyes on the Ravens game, at 4 o'clock and at Sunday night game, or the Sunday night game. But, this is the start where I think Lamar Jackson is going to get a lot of hype. Because even with national media members, a lot of them, they can only watch the highlights. They have to be able to have a take on every single team. And unless they're a fan, which you can tell the national media members who watch Ravens games because they are huge fans of Lamar Jackson. And it's just because that's how good he is. And so I think the rest of the nation, they listen to these guys who don't have the best fully formed opinion about a player because they haven't fully watched him, and they're going to be able to see him for themselves. They're going to be able to not just see the highlights, they're going to be able to see the highlights between the highlights. And I think it's going to create a lot of buzz for not just Lamar Jackson, but this Ravens offense, because obviously they're still going to have to produce. If they fail miserably, then none of this matters, but I feel that Lamar Jackson's his special abilities, they are going to be on full display, and a lot of eyes are going to be on him. I know he played in the playoff game, and I know they had that night game also against the Chargers. And, you could tell, nationally, that was kind of a breakout performance, because then a lot of people were like, yeah, this guy's pretty fucking good. This guy's pretty good there. So I think that's just going to kind of happen again. They're hearing stuff about Lamar Jackson putting up some good numbers, but then they're going to be able to get to see it. All those sacks that he doesn't take, those 3-4 yard runs that he will make that just makes someone look so silly. And I think he's going to get a ton of buzz. And we're going to have a lot of people talking about Lamar Jackson. And I'm loving that. It's about goddamn time. It's the reason I started this podcast. Not 100%, but it's part of the reason, because it's like I'm seeing this guy play, and I'm not hearing these takes from other people. Now, Ravens YouTube, they've always had these takes. But other national type stuff, and it was around the draft time. I don't need to get into the story at the start of the podcast. But, my hype for Lamar Jackson is definitely a huge reason as to why I have this podcast. Because seeing this guy play, and to me, he seems like a world beater. He seems like one of the best players in the NFL. Whoa, what did you just say there? Whoa, buddy, don't go too much. Don't jinx it, knock on wood. But listen, I just feel, the last person to do what he did was Michael Vick, right? And I think he's better than Michael Vick. I think he throws better, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he's a better runner. And the only reason I say that is because I'm just thinking of the defenses that Michael Vick went up against. These defenses aren't used to a running quarterback. They're not used to that sort of speed. The defensive line is more built on stopping the run when he was playing. The way NFL defenses are set up now, Lamar Jackson is going up against people who played in college, and half the quarterbacks are running quarterbacks. Even, your typical statuesque type quarterbacks, even they can run, right? And are willing to run. It is just taking over the college game, the running quarterback. So they're used to seeing it. So these kids are used to this, defending this type of player, and now they're making their way into the NFL. And the way defenses have kind of sped up and slimmed down, even on the defensive line. Linebackers, they are more like safeties. The inside linebacker, I've talked about this before, kind of like a dying breed, a dying position. Now, maybe that has something to do with what I was talking about earlier with Fort and Bynes versus, Peanut and Kenny Young. Maybe that has something to do with it. But Lamar Jackson, in general, faces a faster defense each and every week than Michael Vick ever did. So if he's able to put up these kind of numbers and make defenders look that silly, it'd be amazing. If Michael Vick was in his prime now, I don't think he would be as successful as he was before. I just think the NFL wasn't ready for that sort of thing. And the NFL, before he did it, they saw a ton of running quarterbacks, right? There was still, McNabb, Cunningham. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of others. But it was the outlier. And nowadays, I feel like it's more common that your quarterback runs, right? A lot of these great quarterbacks have running ability in this league. And I think Lamar Jackson, how do you break down the run versus pass ability? And I think Lamar Jackson is definitely the leader with the running ability. I actually saw he was the first quarterback ever to be nominated for the FedEx Ground or whatever that award is they give out every week, basically to the best running back of the week. But he is the first quarterback to be nominated because if you look at the stats, he was the best running back according to yardage and all that this week. So it's just, all I'm saying is Lamar Jackson is one of the best players I've ever seen. Okay, and I've seen a lot of great players. And a lot of the questions, this is turning into a Lamar Jackson episode, but like I said before, that it's every episode. Every episode turns into a Lamar Jackson episode. 7 steps to Lamar with me. Every conversation ends in Lamar Jackson. So I got to take out the laundry, got to do this, got to do that. Lamar Jackson. That's just the way it is. Just because I just feel like he's one of the best players we've ever seen. And a lot of people, when they talk about his running ability, they're like, is it sustainable? How long is his career actually going to be? And I always talk about Cam Newton, and obviously he runs different from Cam Newton. He knows how to not take huge hits. Now, he'll still take a hit, but it's never devastating. It's never like, damn, that dude is trying to truck some people. He'll throw a stiff arm, but he doesn't try to shoulder into anybody. But I feel, the quarterback position, the view of the quarterback position has been skewed so much by a very small number of people. You got Tom Brady playing in his 40s. You got Drew Brees playing in his 40s. I don't know how old Phillip Rivers is, but you look at their arms. Phillip Rivers is starting to deteriorate. Drew Brees is starting to deteriorate. Their arm talent is. They're still very accurate, but if they play a full season, by the end of the year, they're not throwing the best balls. Their arms are just tired. I'm taking a nap. My arm is tired. So our views are skewed by these guys playing into their 40s. Like that's the normal thing. Like the average player in the NFL, I'm pretty sure only plays like 2 years, and that's because there's a lot of people, a lot of special teams players, it's like, let's just go younger. These guys can't really do it. They're not destined to play in the NFL. So they leave after 2 years. Now, your average good player play like up to 10 years. Your average great player, 10 to 15 years. And that's an anomaly, right? That's rare. And just the quarterback position and kickers, an elite level, you get guys playing into their 40s. 20 plus years in the NFL. That is not normal. And we cannot just compare their careers to a Lamar Jackson because it's never going to work. He's never going to play that long. He runs too much. Now, if he all of a sudden can just read a defense and throw the ball and he's able to do it and can still kind of move, there are those rare guys, There still are Frank Gores and Adrian Peterson playing the most grueling position and playing deep into the 30s. It's rare, though, but it's like, 2 in history? 2. Out of how many thousands and thousands of players have played in the NFL? So I just want to warn everybody, when it comes to people saying that, how long is he going to be able to keep this up? If in NFL standards, long as hell, I think you can get 10 to 15 years out of Lamar Jackson, and that is more than enough. You shouldn't be able to get more than that. Just because Tom Brady does it doesn't mean anybody else can do it. I've just seen too many national media members saying, how long is he actually going to be able to do this career-wise, right? And I feel like that is a flawed argument. What if Lamar Jackson, he plays 5 years in the NFL? Obviously, I hope this doesn't happen, knock on wood. But what if he plays 5 years in the NFL and gets 3 Super Bowls? Are you going to say, but he didn't play that long? No, you're going to take the goddamn success. You're going to take the wins. All of that's predicated. You get to the Super Bowl, but it's oh shit, Jesus Christ, I almost fell. I was leaning in my chair. God damn, almost cracked my head open. That old thing in school. Yeah, you're gonna crack your head open if you fall back. Which that was always the warning. If you lean back in your chair, you're gonna fall back and crack your head open. Has that ever happened in school? You're a child. You bounce back up. That nervous? Yeah, maybe you're old ass teacher. You're gonna fall back and break your head open because you can't do shit. But I'm a child, right? I can bounce back off of nothing. Either way, I just hate that take on Lamar Jackson. That is my biggest pet peeve. You can say whatever you want about his skill. because everyone knows you're fucking wrong. Anybody who watches Lamar Jackson and you have a take about how he's a terrible player or he's not as good, I don't know. He's just one of the best players I've ever seen. And I hate it when they compare him longevity-wise to a Tom Brady. And then they always bring up Cam Newton and RG3. Both those players love to take hits, right? Lamar Jackson does not. That's why I can't wait for all eyes to be on him. Even if he doesn't have a great game, they're going to see his running ability and see, oh, well, he doesn't take the big hits. And my least favorite is because I'm a fan of the guy, Kyle Brandt, on Good Morning Football. Anytime they bring up Lamar Jackson and how excellent he's playing, he always puts on his grumpy old man hat. That quote, that's him. He says that. And he has to say, yeah, but listen, we've seen the track record. These guys don't last. And you know what? As good as I think he is, if we put a good enough team around him, we can give him multiple Super Bowls. And that's not crazy. He is a phenomenal player. So I want to see the skill. You know, I'm trying to formulate the right words, but I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. I hate the take, and Lamar Jackson is excellent. Don't compare me to Tony Stark. Either way, I was Avengers and whatnot. Ultron, that's what it is. Yeah, man, that's going to do it. I'm going to get off for this subject, I just hate the negativity, and I thought I'd bring it up. I just thought about it, and I was like, God, that still pisses me off. And, I get a little bit triggered, so I expect you to get triggered too. So, all eyes on Lamar next week. I'll break down that game in another episode. After I record this, I'm going to go to the casino, cash in my bets. I broke even somehow, even though I felt like I lost more of my bets than not. I just happened to put extra money down on some different bets that I thought we're going to be better, and I think I actually broke even. So I'm going to cash these out, and I'll probably make some new bets, put all that money back into the pool, and see if I can't make some more bets and do good. So I'll record another episode, probably later in the week, a dick picks episode where I pick the games, and me and my buddy, we discuss and go over some bets that we did. Did pretty decent this week, another 9-5 week, but I'll break that down. My buddy Sloss, last week 6-9, this week 6-8, not looking too good, so I'll talk to him about that in a later episode. So, with that being said, if you're listening on YouTube, like it, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, share it. But if you're like me, and you hate that you can't lock your phone when you're on YouTube, you can't do other stuff on your phone when you're listening to something on YouTube. I'm on all podcasting apps, so if you want to be able to lock your phone, put it in your pocket, and listen to some great Ravens content, then download it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and I think also Stitcher. I feel like there's another one, but that covers most of the bases. iTunes is obviously the biggest one, so you can go subscribe there, and that way it'll just always be on your phone, ready to go. It comes out, usually comes out an extra day after it uploads to YouTube. It just depends on the time I actually upload it, because I upload to this kind of aggregator type thing, and that everything pulls from that. So YouTube is pretty quick with it. It's basically just the download time. YouTube is always quick on that stuff. So it usually comes out like 10 minutes after I actually upload it. But with iTunes, it's either later on in the evening or sometimes the next morning when it actually comes out. So just to make it easier on you, I'm a huge fan of the podcast, okay? So with that being said, Ravens got the win. We are 4-2, double the wins from losses. That's all you can ask for. So I will leave you. Oh, damn, almost 1 hour exactly. We're going to get this under an hour. Talking straight through. I just paused it that one time. That's good. That's what's up. Yeah. So I will leave you with go Ravens. That was Ravens, by the way. That was Ravens. Adrian. Go Ravens.